Looks like we've got quite the crowd today. I'm Nancy McCarthy. This is Lisa Kerr, our city councilor. And of course, we have Jason, our police chief, and Bruce, our city manager. Busty, of course, is running the whole shebang. And we have Jennifer in the back there. I guess, what, taking notes or something, or just listening? Just listening. Okay, so that's who we have here today. We have quite the crowd in City Hall. And what I'm going to do is to go through, I'm going to try to go all the way around and see what you want to talk about, and then we will talk about it. Hopefully we will have time to do that. We have so many people here today. So let's start from the back.
I'm Deanna Hammond, Cannon Beach Bakery, and I would like to talk about the rumor mill of the food tax and the cultural center, if you bring them out there, and what that really looks like for the city.
Okay. All right, Les?
There's some information about the upcoming 12 days of Work Day.
Okay.
That starts on April the 11th and will end on the big parade on the 22nd. And I've got a few more details I can share whenever you'd like.
Okay, great. Lynn?
I'm an observer today.
Okay. Okay. Eric?
Kind of the same thing as Deanna, the major projects and the budgets and kind of why those numbers are so big and what the city is intending to do about the scope of this.
Okay. Hannah?
Same thing as Deanna and Eric.
Okay. Kyle?
Same thing as.
I know what the major topic of conversation is going to be.
Marcy.
And I don't know you. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Kyle invited me and I'm here to just catch up on what's going on in Cannon Beach.
Okay.
Probably there was coffee there.
There's coffee in the kitchen. There's coffee in the kitchen.
Nance, thank you, Miss.
No, Michelle.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm gonna join the club and say, you're gonna
You're gonna what?
the lunch for the school. I'm just curious.
Okay.
What it is, et cetera, et cetera.
All right. Good. Molly.
I'd like to talk about revetting the public with the expenses that have gone up so much.
Okay, say that again.
Revetting the public input on the changes in all the costs going forward, the budget, the debt load that's set.
Okay. Jan?
So I might want to talk about, well, of course, I'd want to talk about all this as well. But I might want to talk about the development at First and Spruce Street. And I don't know, because of you two, if there were to be an appeal, which the appeal deadline is today at 5 o'clock. If an appeal were filed and went to the planning commission, and then they voted with the appellant, and then it would come to you folks, the city council, if the developer appealed it to you, that would I be able to talk about this in this meeting with you two here today? So it's a question maybe to Bruce.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that in a minute then.
Complicated.
Lucinda Hayes.
Mhm. Okay. Deb, what would you like to talk about?
I want to talk about the outdoor dining because I love it and I want to just talk about it.
What did you say you wanted to talk about?
The outdoor dining.
Oh, okay. All right. Jenny?
Well, I guess before it descends into all the talk about budgets, I want to say how much I appreciate the city workers and how much work they put in and how they have no control over escalating costs, and also the input from the citizens, which added things to all of the projects.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
All right. Betty, what would you like to talk about?
Yeah.
Muted. I'm kind of thinking about what Jenny just said. Anyway, when we start talking about the budget, then I'll just chime in.
Okay. And remember, everyone, to stay as respectful as possible to your fellow participants here. If you're on Zoom, be sure and stay muted until you want, until you raise your hand or until you go like this and you want to speak or whatever, but please stay muted. And everybody here too, please be as respectful as possible to your fellow participants. Betsy.
Well, I was just, there may not be an answer to this immediately, or maybe it's not even accessible, but on the May ballot, there's a measure that we're going to be voting on throughout Clatsop County about limiting or eliminating, not licensing short-term rentals in unincorporated areas of Clatsop County. And I was just wondering if that were to pass, how that would affect the money that comes into the city for different projects, especially the community center, like that. And then in terms of the city hall, I wonder, because of course I haven't gone to every single council meeting, not even close, but what about just putting it where the little store is at the RV park and dedicating part of the RV park, which the city owns, to rebuilding there? Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Wayne, is there something you'd like?
No, I'm just an observer. Thank you.
Greg?
Just listening, and the items I'm interested in already got brought up.
Okay. Anita, is there something you'd like to talk about? Anita, you're muted. Doesn't sound like she
Maybe a
wants.
good thing. Just listening. Thank you.
Okay. And Cindy?
Also just listening, and the items I'm interested in have been brought up. So thank you. Okay. All right. Well, it looks like the big thing on our budget or on our discussion list today. Lisa, is there anything you'd like to talk about? Okay. The biggest thing we have today is, I guess it's kind of the rollover of the food tax, the event center, the city hall, and the budget to deal with all of that. So Bruce, I'm going to turn it over to you. Happy birthday, by the way.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I thought she'd go easy on me because it's my birthday.
Yeah.
Where some of the rumors are coming from is that, and obviously we have projects that have increased over time. It was possible to build those projects for significantly less, but the project got held up. It's never going to be cheaper than what it is now. But the council asked to have all options for costs and possible revenues to be brought forward to a meeting on March 28th. And so it is possible that the prepared food tax will be an item. There will be other, and again, I said, no matter how distasteful you want to see them all. And they said, yes. So there will be a possibility of a tax increase, those kind of things. Those are possibilities. I don't see the tax increase needing to happen. I think that there are other ways to be able to get where we are. And to me, the bigger question, well, if you look at City Hall is hard to reduce the cost because look at the program. And I don't know, is it published yet, Rusty? Is it on the website? We should get it on the website.
It's on the last meeting that we had, yes.
Okay, because there's the program is like this lists all of the employees and all the functions that have to go on in City Hall or the police station. And the only way to reduce, and then that gets converted into a cost. There might be some small amounts that we can adjust, but as long as we're going to do all of the things we're doing now, we need to have a police station and a fire or a city hall bigger than what this one is. This one is too small. Plus the walls are hollow tile block. And I don't know if they're all tile. There might be some hollow cement block, but this won't be here when after we have a seismic event. And with the When that happens, because of all the bridges and tunnels on the way over here, it's going to be a while before the cavalry, as I call them, shows up. And so we're going to be on our own. And so the better that we can operate, and we're going to be operating with few people at first, and then the team will grow. But the better that we can operate during that time, the better we can take care of everybody. And without that, I would say I would be able to give us at least a B under those conditions. And there's a lot of chaos incorporated into that. I would say the best we could get is a D plus is the best we could get if we don't have a place to work from, if we don't have communications.
Bruce, could you talk about the decision that the state made just recently and how that's affecting the decisions we have to make in terms of where we place the city hall and the police station?
Sure. In November of 2022, the rules changed for the location of what's called essential facilities. I think it's essential facilities. And the police station is considered an essential facility. It used to be you could mitigate to the degree possible for a tsunami from a Cascadia event. And as of that date, you can't. You have to build your police station or whatever it is to a category 4 a 9.0 Cascadia event. That means if we were to build out here, even where we're sitting right now, we'd have to go up 31 feet. And then we could build the first floor. And then is it the second floor would be the one that would be out of the tsunami zone, or is it 31?
All these essential facilities have to be above that level.
No, I know, but is it the 31 do we reach it, or is it the second floor above?
I don't remember.
Yeah, anyway, you're talking about probably the tallest building in the city. It would have to be to do that. Now, if we were to go, we can go to other locations. And I think somebody mentioned the RV park, but the RV park is not high enough. So we would have to build up higher. It's higher than here, but not a whole lot more. So we would still have to build up if we went to the RV park. And the highest part of the RV park is actually in the back middle. There's just a point that is like
it's an XL.
Yeah, it's an XL. What they did is they name everything based on t-shirt size, make it really easy for people like me to understand. But what we have to be is in the XXL. And those events have happened. The reason that we were moving forward with this location is that, we're on the Ring of Fire, and there's, I don't know how many earthquakes happen, but 90% of the earthquakes in the world happen on the Ring of Fire. And we're there. And so if something was to happen here, I lost my train of thought a little bit. Well, then let me see. So we're going to have a lot more opportunities to have something happen because of an earthquake than we are because of a tsunami. There's been 18 tsunamis, like category 9.0 from the Cascadia event in 10,000 years. There's earthquakes going on all the time. So we were looking, what you do is you buy down the risk, and you can start seeing the difference. It's a little bit less expensive if we were able to build here by having at least the police station up on by where the cash site is on the south end of the city. That increases our cost significantly. Moving this building there can also increase those costs.
So what the city council is trying to decide, or will be deciding soon, is whether or not we're going to build both of the facilities, the city hall and this police station up at South Wind. And they have a location at South Wind that apparently is, and I think they're still going to do some studies. Soil studies.
Cash site, it's not Southwind.
It's a cache site. So it's more level and it's closer to the road. So it doesn't have as much landslide potential as the original site for that area was suggested earlier. So that will tend to reduce the original cost, but it's still going to be higher than the cost that was going to be here, if we build here. So the information that we received last week was that if we build the city hall here and the police station at the cash site, it would cost about $25 million. Am I right on that? Yeah, $25 million. If we build both of the city hall and the police station at the cash site, it would cost $22 million. So that's where we're standing now. That's where the situation is now. And that's something that we're going to be talking about, especially on March 28th, when we talk about funding for that particular project. We also have the funding for the event center, the renovation of the school. And did you want to talk about that a little bit, Bruce?
Sure. The event center, first of all, what's interesting about this dilemma that we have is that the two really don't compete for funding. It's not like if you reduce this one, then you got more money for this other one. They're really, it's two separate funding sources. We had 6 meetings where people came in and said, this is what we would like to see at Cannon Beach Elementary. They talked about things for honoring the tribe that had been there for thousands of years. They wanted to have meeting places. There was, all kinds of things. And so the architects went out and built or did a design that would accomplish all the things that they said that was wanted. And the cost came in at, I think it's 11.9. Now you're starting with 2 buildings that are 60, 70 years old. There's a lot of work that has to be done on those. All the utilities are useless. We've got to bring in only utilities, everything else. And also in the conversations we've had about honoring the tribe, they used a lot of wood. And so, I mean, we could build a masonry building down there for less money, but what people seem to want is like the round wood posts as opposed to square ones or steel, something like that. So those are the kind of things that add cost to the structure.
I have a question about that. So in 6 meetings, about how many people in this community came and actually committed or, made comments?
I think probably about 60 or 70, but everybody had the opportunity to come and speak.
Okay, so I was looking at the parks plan the other day for that was developed in 2017. And they did several public meetings. 2, I believe, were held at City Hall. 1 was held at Farmers Market and 1 was held at Burgers and Jam. Was there any effort to go outside of meeting in this building or at the school to gather more opinions rather than the 5% of the community that actually contributed?
The meetings that were held, there was 1 at the site, as you said, and the rest of the meetings were held here.
But no effort was ever made to go outside of these 2 facilities that are both city-owned facilities to gather more opinions from other people in the community.
No.
I think the surveyors did go, they did conduct surveys at Farmers Market. And I think they did do some other surveying out around the community.
And also there's a online survey. And so people had the opportunity that weren't able to come to the things. Sometimes people responded to the survey 2 or 3 times if something new came up. But there's been plenty of opportunities for people to speak to the event or speak to the facility if there was an interest in trying to learn more about it or to try to shape its future.
But 5% of the community was actually part of the decisions that's going to affect 1,400 community members.
5% chose to participate, the rest did not.
If you give people the opportunity to participate, and that there was ample opportunity, it's the community members' responsibility to.
I completed the survey.
To take that, I don't think it's the city's responsibility to go to all different locations.
I think
try and
campaign
force
opportunity is different than outreach. Outreach is.
Okay, Jan raised her hand.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to remind everybody too, that this was years ago when I think Brant was still our manager, our city manager, but there was a survey done community-wide. And this particular project came up on top from all the people that filled out that survey. And I think that survey was widely, it was a wide response of the community. So I think maybe lately and since COVID, we haven't had as much participation from the community in almost any project. And I think part of that is because of the COVID, and now people are maybe hopefully starting to come back more. That was widely supported, and it still is, I think, by a lot of people.
Yeah, we had
I'd like to remind people about that.
We had several meetings, and yes, they were in City Hall, but we had Zoom too. And that was why they were in City Hall, so that we could get more people to participate with Zoom. Michelle, did you?
Sorry, I didn't realize we raised our hands.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, I was just backing her up and saying outreach is really important,
Mhm.
but opportunity is one thing, but outreach is really important. Like going to like something like Burgers and Jam, where if we know that like a whole load of the community is actually there. But I mean, not everybody's actively like looks at their email or even knows how to Zoom, much less. So outreach is really important.
I think, Deanna, did you have something you wanted to say?
It's fine. I have a hard time with the fact that the cost is going to be so much more exorbitant. It's being built in the tsunami zone, so there's $11 million that's going to be gone. And parking is an issue. And where are all of these people going to park? We wouldn't let the corgis come for 2 days because of parking, and it's just too chaotic for the town. But we're going to build a cultural center, which is great. But we're going to build a cultural center that is going to want to invite all of these people in. Where are they going to park?
Can I address because that's really 2 points that was there. The city never did anything to discourage the corgis except to ask them to change their date. The city, there's, even on the corgi website, it says that we refuse to give them a permit. We never gave them a permit. We don't have the ability to regulate anything that goes on the beach. They had to work with the state on that. The only thing close to a permit that we gave them was the ability to put portalettes at one of the streets up on the presidentials. That's the only input the city had. Since then, the corgis have said that they outgrew this location, or at least I've been told that that's what it was on their website. So the city did nothing other than saying, hey, can you do it in September or can you do it in May? And from that, they made other decisions. So that's one part. I'm sorry, what was the second? Oh, the parking. The parking is, well, a decision was made to limit the amount of parking that was going to be required on site. The choice was, if you want to go ahead and meet all of the parking requirements, so if we were to have some sort of a big event in the gym and maybe some other things going on in the classrooms, we would have had to pave pretty much all of Nakus to allow that for when it would happen. So what we will try to do is work with scheduling so that we don't schedule something like the equivalent of what the corgis would come in at the same time. We will try to schedule bigger events either in the evening when more parking places are available. But we're not going to try to do something like, bring the Rolling Stones together in the middle of July.
So the city can set aside. I'm sorry, the city can set aside the requirements for parking, but you can allow 5 weed stores to come into town and require them to take out old growth trees and require them to have parking. And 2 of those are almost out of business. One of them isn't even established here anymore. So that's not fair playing for businesses where the city can just set aside the requirement. I understand trying to work things out so that big events are later in the evening or what have you. But there's clearly an issue with parking in town, but we have to abide by it. we as businesses have to pay for extra parking spaces, but the city can set aside that requirement for themselves. That's lopsided.
Well, the city has to make hard choices, the council does. And one of the hard choices was, are we going to meet the parking requirement, which would have said, no, you're not going to do the project. So it was either do the project or find a way to limit the parking, then the parking impact. And we will do what we can to mitigate that. Some folks have indicated they really want City Hall to be on this site. Police station, move it, that's fine. The difference is $2.5–3 million. And that's a hard choice that the council will have to make. If you want to do it absolutely the cheapest, you move it all up there. If you want to go ahead and have City Hall be part of the community, get down here, but you have to spend the difference in the dollars. There's going to be a lot of hard choices. There's going to have to be we were trying to do these two projects so that it would have no cost on residents. And where that started, what that started with was doing taking the funds from the county that gave us some of their TLT funds, their 70%, and take that. And when we started out, when we first got a loan for this project, the loan rate was like 3% all in. And the money that we were getting, which was between $450,000 and $500,000, was more than enough to pay the debt service.
Which project?
Cannon Beach Elementary.
Event center.
I'm on Cannon Beach Elementary. We can't use TLT on the City Hall. So the
event center.
No, the TLT, we can't use it on the City Hall. Yeah, but for the event center, yes. And it's, let me see. There was enough to pay the debt service and have funds left over for operations. Okay. After that, a lot of things changed. And so now we're at a point, and I'm sorry, and when that was to occur, we were hoping to get out so that the construction would be paid for and the operations would be at least partially paid for, because it's always what's a big problem with these kind of projects. Then in City Hall, we had looked at the prepared food tax, and we looked at what the cost would be at 16 million, 17 million, which what it was when we started out, in 2019. That was the price of this project. And looking at that, we would be able to pay the debt service with a part of the $880,000 that would come to the city. And $880,000 goes to the fire department. But that was totally blown with, supply issues and inflation and loan rates, everything else. And so what we were trying is to have both of these projects paid for by outside sources or tourists, and then be done and be able to go ahead and operate it. And it would, that's what we were trying to accomplish. Everything has changed since then. The needs have not, you can speak in a second, Deanna. But the needs have changed. I'm sorry, the needs have not changed, but the conditions have. And that's what we're trying to go ahead and work through. And that's what the hard decisions are going to have to be.
Anita has had.
I'm sorry, Nancy, but these are all things that were brought up to you by constituents that were not taken into consideration. And they were brought up. They were brought up repeatedly that we've got inflation, we've got recession, we have interest rates going up. All of these things were brought to City Council's attention and it was ignored. And now here we are. And we have had all of this information been brought up and had these things been considered, it's like, level 2 will be fine. No, we were all saying it needs to be for this 9.0, 60-foot rip curl. It has to be. Had all of those things been taken into consideration and you came in with the budget that is what it is now or higher, which it would have been at the time, I think that the constituents may have voted a lot differently on how this looks. And so City Council needs to take all of their constituents' voices into consideration And the businesses are the lifeblood of this community. Without the businesses, we don't have a city of Cannon Beach. And I'm seeing businesses being run out, but I think that I really think that this all needs to be looked at again. And there's scuttlebutt, there is scuttlebutt out there, and not just about, oh, well, we're just gonna vote to approve this. I think it needs to be brought out to the public as voters again. Do you agree with this? Opposed to just a vote. And there's a lot of things that were brought up and heavy-handedly brought up. Probably a little embarrassing after I know I walked away and I was like, gosh, I was really hard. But no, it's true. Everything that I stood up at that podium and said has come true. And so I understand that we need a different city hall. I understand that the police department is very important. Emergency services are huge. But I don't think the right conversations are being had with all of the people. And I think that the information that goes out to all of the city's constituents needs to go out to everyone, and it needs to be absolutely 100% truthful.
Okay. Anita, you have your hand up.
I think that's just a curve.
Never mind. Okay. Lisa, did you have anything you want to say?
No, I'd just like to hear from them.
All right. Anybody else want to, Betty?
I tried to go to all of I'm most concerned about the community center, which I feel the city did an amazing job publicizing it, getting people involved. If you went to the meetings, it was very community oriented. The tribe got their voices heard. The end design is outstanding. We can take away some of the details, but I think the city worked really, really hard to get the word out and to get as many people involved as possible. And it's very upsetting if you go to all these meetings and then at the end, so many people are just coming in and trashing it. It's ridiculous. So if you want to be part of the city, read the city bulletin and come to some of the meetings so you can be part of it. Anyway, that's what I have to say, because I feel like if you look at the final design that came in for this community center, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And it'll be a gem in our city. So please take a look at it and talk to some of the tribal members, talk to some of the people that were involved in making this happen. I mean, 11 million, yes, that's a lot of money, but it's coming from tourists. So anyway, I think we should think about that.
Okay, Hannah, you have.
I would just like to point out that I'm a steward for my customers. I see my customers every day, and they're the ones that are paying this tax. And so if community members are benefiting from this, I'd like to see the community chip in part of it too, not just say the tourists are going to pay for it, because at this point, we just continually exploit our tourists and use them for money, but then complain about that. You guys sat here a couple months ago and said they don't deserve to have bathrooms, but they deserve to have a $12 million community center, city, whatever, cultural center, event center. I don't see the connect here other than you guys want the money of the tourists. I don't want the tourists.
Okay, number one, no one said ever that the tourists didn't deserve to have a bathroom.
Do you, for me, we can go back to.
Okay, let Lisa talk.
Yeah, you can finish. I just want to
Eric.
correct the.
Said that we wanted stainless steel fixtures inside the bathroom because there'd been an incredible amount of vandalism in the bathrooms that we do have with the porcelain fixtures at one time. No one said they did not want a bathroom for tourists.
So just to correct that, at the end of that conversation, you verbatim said they are lucky to have bathrooms.
Well, they are.
That is what you said.
They are. A lot of communities don't have bathrooms. You go to them and there's no place to go to the bathroom if you're down there.
That's not true.
Yeah, it is.
I'm pretty sure.
We have several.
All right.
I'm not going to argue with you about it.
I'm
We have several public bathrooms, And I think it's great that we have them and we want to expand one so that we can serve the tourists more.
I agree with that. I think that's a great idea.
I do not see that the tourists are exploited in Cannon Beach.
You also don't work with the tourists. They always come in, complain, about food tax, about lodging tax. A lot of these families come down from Portland, they don't have the opportunity to live here, like all of us are lucky enough to live here. And I don't feel that it's right to just nickel and dime them so we can have a cultural center that's $12 million.
I don't think, that, first of all, you heard where the funding is coming from. It's coming from most of it is coming from the county. But anyway,
Eric,
yeah,
please
but the fact is because you charge a tax to people does not mean you're exploiting them. The community center is not just for the people of Cannon Beach, it's for the use by the tourists as well. It's for everybody. So just saying it's for the people of Cannon Beach is not a legitimate statement of fact. And number one, and number two, I personally do not see that we are constantly exploiting tourists. I think that we're actually do a pretty good job of trying to balance the needs of tourists with the needs of the community, and sometimes to the detriment of the people who live here.
Dan?
I just wanted to say, I know it's a heated time for all these things, but as far as the grade school, the NACUS, I just wanted to suggest that now we've seen these figures, they are high, way higher than most of us thought they would be. There's many choices we made with what we actually go forward with there. And personally, for me, I'm trying to look at everything and understand it. And I think we're going to have to look at alternatives for that project, just like we would with City Hall. We're going to have to decide to probably pull back some of the beautiful things that we've been presented with there. And I think also that different organizations, I know one that I belong to, we're looking into donating money. It's a nonprofit organization, and we're looking into donating money to a specific part of the project, so that will bring down the cost. And I think now that we've seen how beautiful this could be, and it is so respectful of the tribe. I mean, talk about people being exploited. The tribal people have been exploited more than any of us that I know of. And the fact that that was their home for thousands of years, 10, even more thousands of years, the fact that we have this place to take care of and to enhance and to share with basically the world. I just think maybe we could try to look at it a little differently, expand how we're looking at it. And I feel like each one of us could try to find a way to help make it happen, not to exploit anybody, but to help make it happen. And we just try to figure out a very creative way to do that and not make anybody feel exploited.
Michelle? Thank you, Dan.
Well, at least I answered one of my questions, because I've been confused because I keep hearing it's community center and then hearing that it's a tourist center. Now you're saying event center. So it is both, but you're saying that I'm just a little bit confused on it because I keep hearing different things and looking at things. But I'm going to be a little bit of a broken record here. And also backing up what Jan said, this is a refuge for everyone. Like, we are lucky enough to live here, but it is a refuge for everyone. And I would say, broken record in it, to when we're talking about building this place, to actually think about being inclusive. We actually do have trans members in this community, and everybody deserves a safe place to go to the bathroom, and including tourists. So if we can actually think about that, be part of a generation now and think about when we're building things to be inclusionary. Inclusion is important, not male, female, but all gender. Inclusion is really important.
No, and that was an
Everybody.
excellent suggestion, and that suggestion was taken to heart.
Yeah.
That was a great suggestion. I'm so glad that that suggestion was made, to have an inclusive
Yeah,
place to go to the bathroom. I mean,
yeah, I mean, and especially if you are trans, think about, where do I go? Am I gonna get beat up?
or if you
Somebody yell
have
at me.
someone in a wheelchair that you have to assist.
Yes,
there's,
I mean-
no, of course.
But just saying it's important. Think about this. It's a vet center, okay? It's community, yes. Tourism, yes. Everybody, it's a refuge for everyone. So just moving forward, think outside the box or think about now in the future.
Lynn,
I understand that it's gonna go to the city council or vote, but do we have the ability to make changes after you vote on it? I mean, if it was my budget, I would be going, well, we can budget this much, but can we do this and then put this off and then, you know, I would piecemeal it. I would do the Quonset hut maybe, and then in a few years add more things. Is that a possibility to bring the costs down?
I think we're going to be talking about staging, probably. That'll be one of our, staging or phases. That'll probably won't be part of the discussion. What is your impression of that?
No, definitely. We'll be looking at staging. We're already looking, having the contractor and architect work together to say, okay, we could take this piece out. They'd even tell us how much it would reduce the cost. So there'll be that discussion. We're working with Chris, which is an organization that does grants and manages grants, and asking them to work with, the federal government, with anybody at all, through the tribes, whatever, to try to get grants to go ahead and reduce the cost of this. And I've had conversations with people that might want to make a donation of a particular element and, to reduce the cost. That'll be like that particular one will be kind of like nibbling around the edges, but the grants can have a big impact on it. And then also depending on what we decide to do or what we decide or we don't decide to do. But yes, that's.
You can vote on it and say, yes, we're going to do it, but it's really not set in stone, the cost.
At that point, well, the cost isn't set in stone until we have the bids. But before the council would say that this is what we're going to build and this is how much it's going to cost, they will go through a good exercise about, what can we do without, what could we put on later? Is there another way to do it? For example, we're trying to use, in honoring the tribe, a lot of wood. Well, it doesn't all have to be wood, but to get to where we were talking about in the project, and I forgot who it was that said that it was a good project. Maybe it was Jan. It's because those kind of things are in there and they're expensive.
I have a question about the budget. Is the
I think Deanna had her hand. Yeah.
Just a question, and I'm in no way being disrespectful in asking this to the Indian people. I'm a quarter American Indian. So it's my understanding, and I could be completely wrong, that the tribe that is involved with the city and this cultural center is not recognized. And if that is correct, is any kind of federal grants or funding even possible? The answer is probably no. Until they're recognized, if that is true.
I can answer that.
Okay.
Okay. The Clatsop Nehalem are not a recognized tribe. 1852, they and a bunch of other tribes signed the treaties. They were not ratified in Washington. So some of them are recognized, some are not. We are working also with the Clatsop Nehalem are working with the Siletz tribe, possibly the Grand Ronde, and they are both recognized tribes. So we will be able to work through them I don't think we'll have any trouble with getting the federal money if, depending on the level of cooperation we can generate with them.
But the answer is no, the tribe, I'm just, that's.
Right, they've never been recognized.
Yes, but your follow-up statement that you don't think that we would be able to get federal money, I don't think was accurate.
It was just a question. I could be wrong, but it would have to be, in order to get federal funding, even with the Grand Round tribe or the Siletz tribe, it would have to be for funding for them, not an auxiliary funding. So I think that you're probably going to run up against a lot of large speed bumps there.
This project is about speed bumps.
Well, and I think too, it kind of depends on where you're getting the money, what part of the federal government you're asking the money from too. I don't know, but my impression is that yes, maybe you can go through the Bureau of Indian Affairs, for instance, and that might have an effect if the tribe isn't recognized. But if you go through some other department of the federal government, it may not have anything to do with the Indian representation.
And it's my understanding that they will get sent back to the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and that's where the sticky wicket will lie. So I just throwing this out there, and I'm not trying to be a there, but I think that you're going to run into a lot of problems with any funding from any federal or state organization because they are not a recognized tribe. Just throwing it out there.
There's also the possibility of getting funding through arts organizations too, like the National Endowment for the Arts, something like that, where they're not going to care that much about whether or not they're a recognized tribe. They're going to care about the artistic merit of the project.
Creative, correct. And that's, but the pockets aren't near as deep.
No, I know.
Right.
But there is money there.
Okay, I have, Lolly, just a minute. I want to get to your conversation and we don't have a lot more time. So Betsy, did you have something really quick?
I was just going to say that a number of the Clatsop Nehalem people have chosen to already enroll in the Siletz. That's an open door to them. And so that might influence what Deanna's question was about it. I get what she said, that it's not a recognized tribe, but there are a number of tribal members who are enrolled now in recognized tribes, at least that one. Thank you.
I think Roberta is one of them.
Dick Bash is on the cultural committee for the Siletz.
Lolly.
Yes, I had asked previously, since everything is going to come back on the table about the city hall and the police station, will we go out to vet the community again on changes that will be necessary, fusion to square footage, et cetera? Because it seems like if it's changing to the amount that is going to be required to change, different codings of where the buildings have to be, we should have as a community a chance to be vetted again in a very precise way of making sure we have outreach to everybody, because I think that you as the council and the city staff would want to hear from all of us again about the changes that are going to be, and also the rising cost and the locations.
Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by the word vetted. I think you mean to go out and talk to the community about this.
Yes.
Every meeting that we have is public. Every meeting we have, people are asked to speak, and we are having several meetings coming up. I have mentioned it in my Facebook page. We have the community bulletin. We have the Gazette to publicize that when the meetings are going to happen. We may talk about having special meetings for the public. We haven't gotten to that point yet.
I think you need to.
But yeah.
They don't have to sit through meeting, but if you have, like you did before, very well. You have the easels up, you have the information out there, you have it, just that event happening.
Yeah.
And offer a few of those because there is
Actually a good idea.
Yeah, I think it is.
And the second question is, really goes off, but have any of you used the stainless steel toilets? Because if you.
Many times.
They are pretty pretty tough. And not only that, I know that sometimes people have to be rescued out of there. But I'll tell you, I ran into 2 summers in a row, mothers who come out and said, as I'm walking by, try to put a young child there. Good luck, there's no toilet seat or anything. They're kind of unusual, and they're that wonderful and efficient. I would say everybody in town should have to have it in every public building, and I don't think you go for that in the middle of winter. So anyway, cost effective, but user friendly.
Well, maybe you should hear about some of the reports of what has happened to the other toilets. People just breaking them right off their stands and
smashing walls and
As I've heard
mirrors.
several elderly people, including myself, try to sit down on that.
that's not a bad idea,
Yeah.
raising them up. That's,
And there's
Yeah.
bugs
Yeah.
in there.
and that would make it easier for working with children as well.
Yes.
Deb T is hands up.
Rusty, who?
Deb T is hands up too.
Deb? Oh, I see. Deb, did you want to say something?
You're muted, Deb.
Gotta unmute yourself.
So we've been covering the school with the Gazette and at all the meetings with 2 reporters actually, and there has been a lot of outreach, and I don't know how much more you really could do. I mean, it's like, there was the meeting at the school where a lot of people came and talked to the architects. That would have been a really prime opportunity. And a lot of businesses, I think, did come to that. And then the rest have been in the city hall, and there's just been multiple meetings, so many meetings. So I don't understand where the disconnect is there. And maybe with the businesses or something. So that, if we're happy to write about stuff. In fact, we'll do an article on the toilets. Okay. So we're going to go around and test run them all. Okay. And then we'll find out how many are, count them. I want to hear from everybody, and we will do an article. Okay. I'm going to go inspect. And because I do agree that the tourists, I don't know where they're going to the bathroom. There's not a lot of them. So I would like to, I'm going to find out about this, you guys. Okay. So I'm going to go do it. So any input into it, you guys can call us and we'll quote you in the paper. So I want everyone involved. So let's look at it, and I'll find out how many there are, what the conditions of the seats are, all of that. And I too support the tourists. I love tourists because I have been a tourist for years before I moved here. And I just want to say really quickly, I love the outdoor dining. Please don't take that away, because I am so happy when I come out of the post office and see everybody at the Driftwood so happy, and see everybody at Ecola Seafood. They're all so happy. And I was just at the hospital having my blood drawn for my annual visit, and they said, COVID's not going away. COVID's here. It's still happening. I was a nurse. It's not going to go away. And frankly, I don't want to be confined in a space with a bunch of people for many reasons, and none of us do again, and to have open, free air to breathe. And tourists are really happy outside. They look happy. And I support the Lazy Susan having that outdoor area. I support Ecola Seafood. I support the Driftwood. I support all the outdoor dining we can get. Okay, that's why I wanted to say that, because if you want the tourists to be happy, they look really happy there.
Thank you, Deb. Well, that takes care of that one subject. Thank you. I do want to mention before we get off of this event center in the city hall, I think one of the most important meetings that you can attend is the one on March 28th. Starts at 6 o'clock. We will be talking about funding options for both of those projects. So, and they will be open to the public, and the public can discuss it. That's at least one meeting that you will have, and I'm sure we will have plenty of others. Hannah?
I just haven't asked before that time. I challenge you guys and all the city councilors to go into 5 different businesses between now and then and ask them how they feel about these things.
Okay, all right.
And I have a
About which
comment about
things,
the
Hannah?
28th.
What?
About which things?
About the school, about the city hall, about all these things that you don't feel like you're getting engagement from businesses. Actually make the effort in going and asking, rather than setting a 2:30 on a Monday meeting that most of us can't go to because we're busy working.
And the March 28th meeting is at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Challenge accepted.
The comment I had about the 28th, I don't know if you guys recognize that is literally the smack dab middle of spring break when every single business is going to be strapped for employees and staffing, and they're not going to be able to come to that meeting. In all likelihood, and honestly, I really don't see you're going to get a very large business presence making comments, listening to that presentation, because all of us are going to be way too busy to deal with that. And so I feel like, I know it wasn't intentional, and that's the conspiracy theorist and all that stuff, but it's a budget meeting that's going to be held that has this massive of an impact on the community being held during a time that a big portion of the community that's supplying the funds for the city, the restaurants and the hotels, are not going to be able to voice their concerns during that meeting.
Well, we will, the problem now we have is that the spring break is not only then, it's all the way until the end of April.
We're currently in spring break right now.
Yeah, right.
That's
And it's going to go until the end of April, and we have to make some decisions. So we will try to get as much input as we can.
I know that y'all are really concerned about the business people and not enough outreach. Can the business community come up with a time of day or a day of the week that would be palatable to them, that they could hold council and could have meetings here for people that don't have businesses, and have a second meeting here for the businesses? But we don't have a clue how to judge when business is going to be busy. I mean,
I think that goes to Hannah's point of explicitly reaching out. So something that Deb mentioned, she mentioned outreach. There's been very little outreach. There's been a lot of opportunity given, but there's been very little outreach to the business community and to those in the community. That's the thing, the outreach, not necessarily the opportunity.
The invitations as outreach. Nobody invited me personally or reached out to me, but if there's a public meeting, it is an outreach.
That's an opportunity. So the community, all of us, businesses included, we all have this opportunity to come here. And many of us, Hannah and I occasionally, usually we always say you get one or the other of us. But this is an opportunity. So regardless of how many times you say, hey, you're welcome. If you don't actually go out and get the information from the community, that's where the outreach is at. The opportunity to speak, the opportunity to come into city council meetings, to the budget meetings, to all of these, we all have this opportunity. But 90% of us that are working don't have the time, don't have the ability to take care, to grab that opportunity and use it. As opposed to something like outreach, actually going to the businesses and asking them, going out to places where the community is at, going to Burgers and Jam, going to the Chamber Awards meeting, going to different things that are happening within the community and talking to people, face-to-face interaction. That's outreach, as opposed to, hey, we have these meetings that you can't attend, but you're welcome. I know you can't attend, but you're welcome. That's opportunity.
If you can attend Burgers and Jam, you can attend the meeting.
I think a lot of people too, like they're trying to like, it's potato, right?
All right, we're not having an internal conversation. And
I think one of the biggest points that Eric and Hannah are trying to make, and probably a lot of us would like to make, is it is important for the city councilors and those involved in the city to outreach, even when the conversation is uncomfortable and not having a conversation that with people that absolutely agree with you. It's about having conversations that are hard, that hearing things that you might not necessarily want to hear. People have lots of conversations with me that I take what I need and I disregard the rest because they don't know what they're talking about. And then those are the most important lessons I learned when I think back and I'm like, oh, they were right. So I think that that's the biggest thing for city council to do. And it would go leaps and bounds. We need to bring this town back together. So for the councilors to go out to places that they are not comfortable, don't feel that they're comfortable having conversations. My door's open. I don't see any of you coming into my shop. Bruce does, and I see Jason occasionally. But I think that's really important. And I really wish that you would take that to the rest of the councilors that aren't here today and have that conversation that the businesses are important to the city. Is it our responsibility? Yes. Is it solely our responsibility? No, it's your responsibility as well, because we are all your constituents.
Okay. Betsy. You're muted.
I just have a question. I guess I don't understand what the role is of the Chamber of Commerce to the business community in Cannon Beach. If the business owners that are here are suggesting that somehow the city councilors who are volunteers, when there is a paid staff person at the chamber who's representing the interests of the business community, isn't somehow involved in this conversation about why the business community feels left out and ignored by the city, which, having lived here since 1968, I would say this is a recurring theme. But I wonder if the business community could reach out to their chamber and ask them to somehow be a liaison while they're busy with spring vacation and the other demands of running a business in Cannon Beach. Thank you.
Okay, we have, we're past time now.
Just real quick.
Nancy, can I just say that
Just a minute, please. I am three ring circuits here.
Just real quick, and is it Betsy that was just
Yeah.
speaking? To kind of speak to Betsy's question there, the Chamber of Commerce relies on city funding. And so they try and remain as ambiguous as possible. So the city doesn't pull their funding, and so the businesses aren't upset with them. So they're trying to do the best that they can with all of the tools that they're given.
I'm a board member of the chamber, and I know that I personally walked to every single business and asked them to participate in Mimosa Madness and gone in and talked to I've spent 2 days promoting Mimosa Madness. I'm a volunteer. I don't get paid, but I am a board member of the chamber, so.
Okay. Deb, you had something?
Well, again, okay, I can handle controversy. I get it all the time, right? We'll put it, write what you feel, and we'll put it in the Gazette word for word. So Deanna, if you or anybody wants to say something, send it to us and we'll just print it. Okay, we'll be a liaison for the communication if you would like, because that's what we should be, is your opinion needs to be expressed. You need to say what you feel. And I think writing it sometimes is even more effective than speaking it.
Okay, before we go, I just want to mention that, and again, it's in City Hall, but we're having a retreat today between 1 and 5. Public is invited and can. I'm pretty sure we're accepting public discussion or public comments. Yeah, so we are accepting public comments today, a retreat between 1 and 5 today. We have the meeting, we have a code audit meeting on tomorrow at 6 o'clock, when that's the joint meeting between the Design Review Board, the Planning Commission, and the City Council to talk about the ordinances that regulate Planning Commission policies or land use planning policies here in the city. And next week we have the meeting to discuss the funding for the projects. So those are the 3 meetings that people can participate in. And we welcome public comments. We will be doing a lot more, I'm sure, but that's what we have on our agenda at the moment. Am I forgetting any others? I think those
Wetlands.
Oh, the wetlands. Yeah,
meeting.
I knew there was a wetland. On Wednesday of March 29th, we talk about the wetlands, 6 o'clock
And
again.
the possible revision of the code.
Yeah.
To protect the wetlands.
So, everybody's invited. Everybody can participate. And we will take your suggestions. I think, we had some good suggestions today about reaching out to people, and I think that's a good idea. We may be talking about doing that as well. So we do appreciate your comments.
But one thing I'd like to make really clear, not one of the counselors can go in anywhere and represent the whole council on a point of view or an idea, because they're individual counselors. All of us have our own ideas, and it's when we come together as a consensus or a majority that things get done. So I can't represent Nancy's ideas in speaking to any business.
Obviously, but the point is to go out and listen to people rather than have people come to you and listen. Or even just to pop in and say, hey, don't forget we're here and this is happening. And you might be interested in listening, just to see our counselors out in the city. And make them look like, I know you guys all care about this, and you wouldn't be getting it today. And so we need to feel like we're cared about too. And I think that we feel like the ugly redheaded stepchildren.
And it's funny because that's how we feel. Because we feel
I
like
live here too.
yeah, and but it's.
I live in the
There's
community.
Okay, it's after 11 o'clock and I think we have really talked
Oh my
about,
God.
had quite the conversation today. Jan, I'm sorry, we didn't get to your issue, but I have a feeling we wouldn't be able to talk about it anyway. So, thank you all for coming. We'll probably be seeing you, during the month and we will see you next month, hopefully, same time, same place. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.